So today's video, I'm just going to go a little bit more long form, detailing how I became a club promoter, and from that you can pick out whatever little tidbits of information that you'd like to use, because there's dozens and countless of different ways to actually become a club promoter, and so I think speaking on every single different route would just be doing you a disservice, because I'll be speaking on experiences that I haven't had. So I'm just going to speak on my own experiences. So basically, my background was as a DJ. I used to DJ as Wilco. I would play some local clubs here in Perth, Western Australia, and essentially what happened was I was studying marketing at university, and I mentioned to one of the managers of the club that I was playing at that I was interested in looking to use my degree, which most people that go to university never fucking use their degree, so to be able to actually use my degree would be nice. And he said, yeah, sure, if you're interested in running a night here, put something together, put on my desk, and we can have a meeting and go through all of it. And I was actually drunk at the time in his office. I was like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And so the Friday nights were already really, really busy at Arcade Nightclub, which is what this club was called at the time. It's now called Loop Nightclub. Same owners, different brand, way all these renovations and stuff. But the Fridays were really popular, but the Saturdays were very, very quiet compared to Fridays anyway. And so Saturdays, they were looking to try and kind of take something on board. And so that's kind of your first opportunity, and a little bit of, I suppose, wisdom, and maybe not wisdom, but advice there is you're going to struggle to get into a club if they don't have, one, they don't have the need for you. Two, if you're going for the, night that's already busy, right? So there needs to be a benefit to the club. If their Friday is already packed, by getting someone else to just come in and just run that Friday night, there's not that much why would they share that, right? But I will get to that because I actually ended up running the Friday nights as well anyway. And the Saturday nights had always historically been really, really difficult at this venue, regardless what fuck. Because before it was Arcade Nightclub, it was called Dusk Nightclub. I'm starting to show how old I am now. Anyway, so I put something together, and here's the other thing: I didn't really know what I needed to put together to actually present to the manager. And so I just asked, I was like, hey, what kind of things do you want to see? He was like, yeah, the name, the brand, and you gave all these really vague answers, and you're probably wondering, what does need to be in it? Nothing really for sure, like the name, the music policy, if you have a brand mood board, what DJs you want to get, what's the unique selling point going to be, what are the drink specials going to be, what are you going to charge on the door, things like that. Those are, you don't need a whole fucking TED talk to pitch your event. It's pretty simple to just present, hey, this is what I want to offer to people, this is why I think it will work, this is why I think it will benefit the club, and this is why I think we should run at this nightclub and not another nightclub. Anyway, so I put that together. We had the meeting, and it was, in retrospect, I think it was a cool idea, and at the time I also had the passion where it was new to me, and I was putting in all of this effort to try and make it do really well. I think the night was called Open House. I was going for a house party kind of vibe thing. And so I presented it to him, and he goes, yep. Now the way that we structured this deal with them was I was just put on, because I was totally new to this, I was fairly lucky where they just put me on a retainer. They paid me a couple hundred, I think it was what did I get paid? Maybe $200 a week, or maybe $100 a week. It was pretty low in retrospect. But I was 19. I was I'll take any fucking money I could get. So I got paid. It's a little bit dark. Hang on. So I got paid a couple $100 a week to just manage it. I didn't get a car to the door. I didn't actually have to put any of my own money in either. That was the major benefit for me. I was fucking broke anyway. I couldn't put any money into it. And so put it together. He said, yeah. And then it was about building the team. And so that's when I went, okay, well, I need a photographer. So I had a mate that was a photographer, and I'm like, cool. He was already shooting this club anyway, so it was easy. This is the photographer. This is my content plan. He's also doing the graphic design. And then I started doing some promo shoots and stuff like that. And I remember, because I didn't have any events under my belt at this venue, or any venues at all, I had to put together some promo. So I got a bunch of girls. We had a little house party, and we got Tim to shoot some stuff. We put the logo on it, and it helped put up that brand that, you know, we're a house party thing, and they were playing Twister. And that was the other thing as well, was because this was new, I didn't really know what had to be done in clubs to get people to rock up, so I was just coming up with random shit. And so we were doing like Twister. I know everyone does food now, but at the time I was doing like pizza and stuff like that. We had all these like random games and shit. It was like legitimately like pretty decent house party vibes. It was pretty good fun. All this dress up shit, it's good. Anyway, so ran it for a couple of weeks, and there was a pretty decent uptick on the Saturdays, but it wasn't a like huge success at all. And it was kind of fizzling out, and I was running out of ideas. Anyway, fortunately enough, Aaron, who was the manager of the club, he came to me and he said, "Hey, look, the owners are really impressed with you. This isn't going that great, but it's gone better than, you know, Saturdays already were. They want you to manage the Fridays instead, and they'll pay you more money." I was like, fucking sweet. That's fantastic. Easier job, more money. And so that was good. And so I think the other lesson to take out of that was I put my best foot forward. I was pretty loyal to the club. I was clearly putting in a lot of effort. Like, I was trying my best, and that shows. At the end of the day, sure, it's a numbers game, but if you surround yourself in nightlife with the right people that are going to support you and look after you and take care of you and have your best interests at heart, as well, it has to be a mutually beneficial like arrangement. That will take you really far. And that lesson has carried over into pretty much every single aspect of success in my nightlife career. Like, I was always fortunate enough to be surrounded by mentors and managers and owners and booking agents that were always really, really supportive of me. And early on, there were some that weren't, and they were just taking advantage of me, but fortunately, I kind of weeded them out pretty quickly. And so for the vast majority of my career, I was always surrounded by really supportive people, and, you know, I was always doing my best for them, and that always, even still to this day, I'm not even in the fucking industry. There's favours I do for people, and they'll give me favours in return. So that's useful. Anyway, and so the Friday had a much larger promoter team. So when I ran the Saturday nights, I had like a small team of maybe like a dozen people. I didn't have nearly enough promoters trying to help boost the night. And then I brought some of them into the Friday as well, like the really good ones. And then the Friday team was much bigger. The first thing that I actually did, because Aaron told me on the phone, was like, the first thing you had to do is the first thing you need to do is actually start tracking all of the promoters' stats. And so what I actually did, I love Google Sheets. I'm super ADHD and I'm probably a little bit autistic. I fucking love Google Sheets. And so what I did was the promoter incentive that was already in place for the Friday was they could submit a guest list, and as long as they had a certain number of people, they would just get a bar card. For, I think it was a $75 bar card. And up until then, the venue manager was just managing the promoter team. But he made a good point to me where he said, I can't really be managing the venue and managing, because he's older, he's like, I can't be really managing the venue and taking care of these kids and buying them drinks. He goes, really the role that you have to play is to, you know, I'm out the front of the door and I'm in the office. I need you to be like on the club floor, like meeting these people, meeting their friends, getting feedback, making sure they're having a good time, being that whole party guy thing, right? So that was really part of my role. He described it as kind of like a host. There were some other ways he described it, but I probably won't just talk about it in this video. And so that was my first big thing, was be the promoter guy, party guy. Anyway, so tracking the promoter stats. The first thing I did was I made a Google sheet where I had a sheet for, it was one group, like Excel workbook with multiple like sheets, you know, the little tabs at the bottom for each month. And then I had every single promoter, and I had how many names they submitted and how many rocked up. And so at the end of the night, at like whenever guest list closed at like midnight, I'd grab the list and I'd get everyone's list and I'd count off how many the door girl actually ticked off. And so it'd see promoter A submitted 20 people and 15 rocked up. Promoter B submitted 15 people but only 3 rocked up, right? And so then I could start seeing all of their attendance rates. And so what I did was I had to really quickly, like, there'd just be a bunch of people submitting names and no one rocking up, but they were still getting a bar card. Right, that was just the deal that the venue agreed to. And so what I had to do really quickly was like, alright, there's like 5, 6, 7 people that are just submitting names and maybe 2 are rocking up, but they're still getting a $75 bar card. And it's happening pretty consistently, so let's just get rid of them, right? Next thing I implemented was added incentives. So once I like cut all the bottom performing promoters, I then added an incentive for the top 3 promoters. So whoever had the most names ticked off in a month, The first place got a $100 gift card to some shoe store. Next one got a $75 one to something else. The next one got a $50 gift card to somewhere else. That helped again, right? The third thing that I implemented after I cut bottom performing promoters, adding a like top 3 incentive. Most of you, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know probably the best thing I ever did was I just, for 1 month, where there was a group chat running with all the promoters, which I'll get to in a moment because that's a really important mechanic as well. The promoters I had all the Google Sheet running for ages, right? And so what I did was I exported in a graph every single promoter's name, how many names got ticked off. Every single promoter could see how many they brought compared to everyone else. They had complete transparency into not just their performance, but everyone else's performance. They knew exactly where they ranked. I exported it as a JPEG, I put it in the group chat, and I just dropped it. Didn't say a word. Everyone at least nearly doubled their attendance rates and got like ultra competitive because they can see this person fucking stole this name from me and now it's getting like affecting my numbers and blah 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 blah, and they're all getting, it never got like toxic, but like they were definitely far more competitive just because they had transparent, like they knew if they were at the bottom, they knew if they were at the top, they knew who was just behind them and how far behind they were to their number, right? And so that made everyone monumentally more competitive. The next thing, one of the other mechanics that happened was obviously we had the Facebook group so they could post their guest list, and we had a group chat as well. The group chat was definitely a net positive, but there's some things that became an issue, which I'll talk about. So the main benefit of the group chat was there wasn't a group chat, actually no, there was a group chat before with the manager for submitting guest lists, but it was purely business. There was no fun. It was just, here's the guest list, here's names, venue manager copies and pastes into a Google Sheet, gives it to the dog girl. There was no banter or anything like that, right? So I made a new group chat, and then I can't remember how I pulled it off because it's like herding drunk pandas to try and get people in the same place at a nightclub. You ever tried? It's fucking impossible. And so I somehow got like most of the promoters at the bar at the same time to all do a shot, meet everyone, because I hadn't met a lot of them. So meet all of them, so I knew who they were, they knew who I was, we could all recognise each other the next week. We're all hanging out, and then we had the group chat. The group chat was just like banter and jokes and memes and people trying to meet up on the thing. Some of the like bad things that came out of it was like, what, you get a bunch of drunk people in a group chat, bunch of guys, bunch of girls, you know, this guy's bullying this girl, fucking this guy's jealous because this girl, he likes fucking this girl and all this shit, all this chaos, right? So you had to deal with that, right? But we had like one issue where, the group chat got out of control, so not like out of control, but like, it just keeps going off, so I ended up just like fucking muting it for a bunch of times, just so I could like work. And then the venue manager called me, he's like, hey, you've been in the group chat today? I'm like, no, it's fucking, I just have the thing on mute. And he goes, can you check? Because I think like one of the, someone sent someone's nude into the group chat and now someone's boyfriend's pissed off and all this stuff. I was like, what the fuck? So you had to like cut people really quickly for all that bullshit. So just make sure you had to moderate things, because otherwise the toxicity just fucking bleeds into the group and no one has a good time and it gets really out of hand. And then so that really got me into the organic side of managing a promoter team. The next phase that happened after that, and I should probably tell a little bit of the story that happened behind it, was when I really started getting into actually managing the venue's socials, because the Friday night started popping off, right? I had a relatively easy fight because the Fridays were already popular and they were doing a mediocre effort, and now the Fridays were doing really well because I was putting in a tremendous amount of effort into the promoter team and things like that. So it wasn't entirely all me, but I had a pretty easy fight, but I did a good job. And the owners were really, really happy with me. They said one thing that was very flattering, and I think I should say it, not to brag, but to make a point that having a single important, that's an egotistical way of saying, having a single kind of, I say it in other videos, a single charismatic leader leading your fucking cult is really important. And Aaron said something like, yeah, Jamie and Jared, who were the two owners, Jared sadly passed away 2 years ago, they said they've been looking for someone like you for years. Because it's really, really difficult to get like the promoter probably has to be a DJ because that gives them social proof. They have to be good at marketing. They have to have a certain business acumen. There's all these like skill sets and attributes that all have to perfectly line up to be a good promoter. You know, you had to be extroverted. You had to know when to turn it on. It's all this stuff that has to line up. It's really difficult, and so that's why your importance as a promoter and leading your team and being that guy on the night is really important. It's a rare alignment of personal attributes to find and develop as well. Anyway, and so long story short, my DJ career started taking off, and then I was doing some shows in the States, and I met up with I call him a friend, but he's a fucking asshole now. But I can't bag him out completely. I wouldn't be where I am now if he didn't give me this external hard drive of courses he illegally downloaded. Anyway, one of them was about social media marketing, and I had nothing to do on the 37-hour trip from Los Angeles back to Perth. And so I just binged watched this entire course on how to do social media marketing. In retrospect, knowing all the skills I know now, it wasn't particularly great, but it was enough of like a kindling to get me interested in this whole thing of social media marketing. Anyway, so I got back and I told Aaron, I'm like, man, I just did this course and I'm so interested in like doing the social media marketing, and like we could do this, and why aren't we doing this? We're not even doing email marketing. Like, why aren't we doing that? We don't even have a website. Blah 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 blah. I think we did, but it was shit. Maybe no, we didn't even have one at all. And then he's like, yeah, like if you want to use all these skills, go for it. And so I pretty much had free reign to just like, I made a fucking website, I made like an email marketing list, had like a MailChimp, and then eventually they trusted me enough to put me in charge of the social media, which was great because I could add more of a personality to it. And that's really what will drive your engagement on social media. People don't like feeling like they're advertised to, and because I'd been at this club literally like every week, like twice a week, every week for like probably like 3 years at this point, I knew all of the patrons, and so when I was posting on the social media pages, it wasn't feeling forced. I didn't have to sit there and go, like what would someone that goes to the arcade like? What post would resonate with them? Like, no, there was no like cognitive resistance to coming up with posts just because I was hanging out there all the time. I knew all the inside jokes. I knew what kebab shop they went to. I know what the fucking kebab order is. I know what they're actually doing in the parking lot when they leave for 5 minutes. I know all this shit. And so whenever I posted on the social media, it felt like it was coming from a friend. We had by far monumentally better organic reach and engagement than any other nightclub in Perth. Anyone that disagrees with me from that area can fuck off. We had the best engagement, and I know because I was on a bunch of other social media pages for a bunch of other clubs, so I could literally compare the numbers. And so that's where that came in as well. And then we started doing the paid advertising. That's where my value in at least the Perth nightlife scene really started to blow up. So Arcade Nightclub was owned by there's a whole partnership network, and one of the groups is called Capital Corp. Now they're called Night Owl, and they own like a bunch of different nightclubs and bars and things like that in Perth. Now they're expanding to other states in Australia. And then one of the owners texted me. It was the weirdest way to get a job ever. I think he just like knew I was doing Facebook advertising, and he literally just told me to come to the office and bring my laptop, and then he was like, yeah, you'll be paid. I'm like, are you offering me a job, Dave? He goes, yes. I was like, oh, okay. And so like, it was the weirdest thing ever. Dave's a weird guy, but I owe him a lot. So, and then I was doing all the Facebook and Instagram ads for like 6 or 7 venues. It was all I did all day long, was make ads for nightclubs and all of their ticketed events, like all the bands that are coming, like big bands. I was like adding on a bunch of Facebook pages of like bands I've been a fan of since I was like 17, right? All these massive dubstep artists and all these bass music artists and bands and all these people, I'm saying. So all I was doing all day long was getting good at making meta ads. I remember the first week I was there, I just like literally like 10x the results by making one change. And I showed the owners like, oh wow, like I literally showed them like they didn't have conversion tracking set up, so they never knew what the return on ad spend was for any of their campaigns. So I just like set it up. It was really easy, and they're like, oh wow, you're making us like tens of thousands of dollars. I'm like, yeah, I am. Like my average return on ad spend was like 10x. So on average, every dollar they gave me to spend on ads, I gave them like $10 back. And that's where my value really started coming into play. And I think the main lesson to take away from that part of my career was to get good at something, you had to get so good at it that you're bored. Like you just get bored doing it. Like I could literally do it blindfolded. The actual problem I had was the internet would not keep up with how fast I was building these campaigns. That was legitimately the problem with them. Ad managers wasn't loading fast enough. Anyway, so that's pretty much my journey from just being a DJ at clubs to, managing a small night to a bigger night to managing like a venue's social media, and then like fucking 7 different venues, all their ads and how they're getting a return on investment and things like that. And then obviously that expanded to other things, like now I have a digital agency, and then I had a DJ school after that. But I hope that story kind of gives you guys a little bit of a framework to work with and how you like progress through, and a couple of little tidbits of wisdom and things like that. I hope you've stuck with me to the end. By the way, I'm still experimenting with a bunch of different like content styles. Like I've done some short form stuff, some long form stuff, some listicle kind of stuff, and so I'm trying to see how this just longer talking to camera unedited stuff goes. But if you're still watching now, can you comment below and just let me know what you think of this new kind of format? Because I like this, because it's much easier for me to film. I can just rattle stuff off. I don't need to like send it to an editor or anything like that. It feels far more natural. But hopefully it is not a waste of your time. So if you're still watching now, could you please just comment below and just let me know. But other than that, I'll see you in the next one.